Welcome back. We're talking to Michael Tobolowak about visibility in the supply chain. Well, welcome, Michael, to Forbes.com Video Network.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Could you give us kind of your own overview as to why visibility of process in the supply chain is such an important factor today?
Well, it's interesting that you say today, because if you think about it, the world of design and manufacturing products 20 years ago was much simpler. You had a very vertical supply chain, you had a 4 or 5 year development life cycle, and maybe the product could have lasted for 4 or 5 years. Now, products must get to market in 6 months. They may only last for 6 months, and they entail a very diverse global supply chain encompassing hundreds of suppliers and oftentimes thousands of parts. And so if you're trying to actually ship your product on time at a certain price point, without that visibility, it becomes a near impossibility.
What is it? What aspect of visibility is the most important that you see from your company's point of view?
We see now two, and I would say now 3 primary ones. One is visibility into when the product is actually going to ship. Mm-hmm. 2 is how much that product's going to cost, and having actually visibility into that information early enough in the design cycle so you can actually make a change and hit a cost target. And then the third one, which is a new one, is around environmental compliance. And we can talk a little more about that as what happens if you don't get visibility right. But there's a new one called RoHS, which is a European initiative. And lack of environmental compliance visibility can mean you don't ship your product.
So tell us a little bit more about this, the negatives, or how you're going to get hurt if you don't look at the process.
Well, what's happening now is that I think the world is starting to move towards an era of responsible manufacturing, that we realize that we put large quantities of our products into landfills, and many of those products contain hazardous chemicals. And so the big, most recent and new initiative has been RoHS, Restriction on Hazardous Substances, which is a European initiative that said after July 1st, companies couldn't ship their products to Europe if it contained these substances. And so now it puts enormous pressure on visibility to the supply chain, because it's all the components in these products that contain those substances. So it takes a very deep collaboration and discussion between the OEM and the supply chain partners, and then documenting that information to ensure that those products are compliant. And if they're not compliant, you actually don't get to ship your product to that region. And the scary thing now is that RoHS in Europe was just the very first, almost I would say the tip of the iceberg. There's a California equivalent coming very soon. There's one for Korea and also one for China.
And what benefits specifically to the bottom line can you expect if you do pay attention to your visibility in your process?
By getting the product to market on time, by having visibility to when it's going to ship, you actually can have a dramatic impact on the actual revenue you can get from that product.
And your own company, Arena, how does it fit into this particular process?
Arena is in a space called Product Lifecycle Management, or PLM. And if you think about it, in the enterprise, there's 3 or so very, we'd say, important systems of records. There's the financial record, which is ERP, which has been around for quite some time. There's the customer record, which is CRM, and now there's the product record, which is PLM. And so PLM manages, at the very basic elements, all the components that go into a product.
Do you feel this is a growing business?
Arena is in a new era of software called software as a service or on demand, where the software is delivered as a service across the internet. So there's no technology or infrastructure the customer needs to maintain on their site. What that does for the customer is several things. One, it dramatically reduces the cost and complexity of getting the system deployed. But in the case of OEMs working with global supply chains and trying to have visibility, it solves a very fundamental problem, because you now have one version of the truth. Mm-hmm. So if in the cloud or the internet, so to speak, is where this product record sits. And now, no matter where any of your global supply chain partners are, you're all looking at exactly the same data at the same time. So anytime that information changes or needs to be updated, everybody knows. There's no need to reconcile, send emails. Right. It's all in one place.
Well, thank you for giving us this insight.
Well, thank you for having me.
I'm Bob Malone, the logistics editor for Forbes.com. Thank you for joining us at the Forbes.com Video Network.